in universe, how they were created, how they interact, and what their destiny is. However, no one has yet succeeded. Why? Spiritual wisdom and the scientific wisdom have not had a common language. Uh, can we explain spiritual principles scientifically and mathematically? Could it be that the spiritual insight and the other ancient wisdom are needed for complete understanding? Is this breaking book renowned in this groundbreaking book, renowned spiritual teachers and Master Dr. and Master Jigong Shah collaborated with the quantum physicist and string theory Dr. Ruling Shu to introduce Dao science. Dao is the source of everyone and everything. Dao science is the science of the source and creation. It's the science that tells us what everyone and everything are made of, how everyone and everything are created, how everyone and everything interact, and much more. The science is a science of grand unification. It unifies science with spirituality at the fundamental level. It unifies everyone and everything and every aspect of our lives. This book will be eye opening and mind expanding for those who are interested in science and those that who are interested in the spirit. This book will benefit anyone who's willing to use the power of spirit, the power of science, the power of love, the power of universe, the power of yourself to transform your life and the lives of others. This book will benefit anyone who longs to live in a complete love, peace, harmony, and in alignment with the universal laws and principles revealed in this book. A step into the universe of Tao science. Tao science is more than theory, it's a practice, it's the way of life. You will never step back. I went through the chapters of what is the Tao science and the three important law of first law is the law of Shen Qi Jing, which is the soul, heart, mind, energy, qi, and Jing matter. And then it went through proving it by that scientifically that everything Shen Qi Jing are in a vibration. And the power of soul, then the power of heart and mind, power of energy and matter. And chapter 7 was talking about grand unified field that about grand unified, the normal creation and reverse creation, and conclusion of S plus E plus M equals 1. That is the grand unified field. Then the chapter 8 was talking about the divine Tao spiritual treasures, and chapter 9 explained about the Tao calligraphy or love art, and the chapter 10 explained about the law of karma, and then now we are on the law of Tao yin and yang creation. And most likely that I would not finish it, all of it tonight, but I would do as much as I can. Okay, so this was a very brief, you know, because I'm almost at the end of the book. Okay, here we go. Chapter 11, Law of Tao Yin and Yang Creation. Page 203. Where do everyone and everything come from? How are everyone and everything created? What are the space and time? Some of you may have asked these questions since childhood. Understanding the secret of creation is some of the highest wisdom, knowledge, and enlightenment in a human being could ever dream about. This wisdom and knowledge will not only uh, empower us to I lost it. Just want to empower us to become powerful manifester. More important is essential for liberating us from illusion, suffering, limitation, lack, ignorance, and the bondage. This wisdom is a doorway to a higher level of consciousness and enlightenment. It's the key to go beyond life and death and reach immortality. In this chapter, we are honored to release another vital law of Tao science, the law of Tao Yin and Yang creation. This universal law explains the fundamental secrets of creation. The law of Tao Yin and Yang creation involves two basic concepts, Tao and Yin Yang. Tao is emptiness, is the source, is the creator of everyone and everything. Yin and Yang is a duality pair. Everyone and everything created by Tao consists of Yin and Yang. In fact, Tao normal creation explains that the first thing uh, Tao oneness created is two, which is heaven and earth. Yin and Yang, which is a Yin and Yang. The law of Tao Yin and Yang creation explains how everyone and everything are created. Tao normal creation and the Tao reverse creation, which we discuss in the chapter 7, reveal the creation process in the simplest, deepest, and the all-inclusive manner. We have presented a spiritual understanding of Tao and the Tao creation process. Can we explain and comprehend scientifically and mathematically? Mathematics is a universal language of mind. When we can express something mathematically, then at least in principle, our mind has come to a complete understanding about it. Our mind gains the ability to create and transform it. Physics is powerful because it uses mathematical formula to express the world. Therefore, it has great ability to create and transform the world. Using mathematics to express the truth of creation is one of the highest dreams anyone could ever have. The law of Tao Yin and Yang creation helps us formulate a physics theory about how our universe is created. This requires a deep understanding of space and time, even deeper than Einstein's. The insight of the law of Dao yin and yang creation helps us gain a more profound comprehension about space and time. This in turn enables us to drive the physics theory about creation. Our results could awaken humanity at its deepest core. The title is Essence of Yin and Yang. What is the cause of creation? Change, birth, growth, development, and death. How does Da create all possibilities, infinite information, infinite energy, infinite matter? The law of Da yin and yang creation answers these questions. Da is emptiness, is the source and creator of everyone and everything. Da creates yin and yang. The interaction of Dao, yin and yang, uh, of Dao, yin and yang creates everything and everyone. The interaction, I would repeat, the interaction of Dao, yin and yang creates everyone and everything. Everyone and everything can be divided into yin and yang component. Yang, yin and yang are opposite, related, co-created, inseparable, and interchangeable. Yin and yang comprise everyone and everything. According to the law of the yin and yang creation, yin and yang represent two opposite aspects existing within everyone and everything. Yin represent the aspect that has a nature of water, cool, passive, dark, contracting, feminine, and descending. Yang represent the aspect that has the nature of fire, hot, active, bright, expanding, masculine, ascending. The relationship between yin and yang includes the following four important characteristics. The title is Four Characteristics. The first one, yin and yang are opposite and relative. Yin and yang are dual and opposite. However, they are not relative, not absolute, because what is yin relative to one thing can be yang relative to another thing, and the vice versa. For example, for example, movement and stillness are yin and yang pair. They are opposite but also relative. A car may appear still to you, but for another person that was moving away, the car may appear to be moving. Between the soul and heart, the soul is yang and the heart is yin, because the soul transmits information, in parentheses, an active function, parenthesis close, and the heart receives it, in parentheses, a passive function, parenthesis close. However, between the heart and the mind, the heart is yang and the mind is yin. The heart passes the information to the mind, which receives it. Yin and yang, the second characteristic is yin and yang are separable and co-dependent. Yin cannot exist without yang. Yang cannot exist without yin. The existence of one depends on the other. The third characteristic is yin and yang are co-created. When yin is created, yang is simultaneously and automatically created. When yang is created, yin is simultaneously and automatically created. The fourth one is the interaction of yin and yang creates everyone and everything. The interaction of yin and yang is the cause of all creation and changes. The normal creation says this is the simplest way. 2 creates 3. 3 creates all things. The foundational source book of traditional Chinese medicine, Yellow Emperor Internal Classic, says yin and yang is the universal principle. It's the fundamental law followed by everyone and everything. It's the origin of all changes. It is the cause of birth and death, is the reason of all creation. The next title is Tao Yin Yang, creation of everything. According to the Tao wisdom, Tao is emptiness. Tao creates everyone and everything through the process of the Tao normal creation. Tao Sheng Yin, Tao creates one. Yi Sheng R, one creates two. R Sheng San, two creates three. San Sheng Wan Wu, three creates all things. Tao is emptiness. Tao is the state of oneness. In parentheses, is that Tao creates one. Close parentheses. When the time is right, Tao divided this state of oneness into yin and yang pair. In parentheses, one creates two. Close parenthesis. This yin and yang pair has two states, yin and yang. Let's use the Facebook. I guess for some reason they lost the connection, the wireless connection. Anyway, but I will continue on YouTube. Let us use the minus sign. Let us use the minus sign to represent yin and the plus sign to represent yang. And use an order pair to represent two states of this yin and yang pair. Each element of this yin and yang pair can further subdivide and create four states. Minus minus, comma, minus plus, comma, plus minus, comma, plus plus. Each of these four states can further subdivide and produce eight states. So you can imagine what would be 8 states. This yin and yang subdivision process can continue indefinitely and generate indefinite states and possibilities. In this way, everyone and everything is created, which I can show you as close as possible to the YouTube camera and also to the Facebook camera. This state of infinite possibilities when the yin and yang subdivides. So we can describe our world as a yin and yang world because the yin and yang interaction creates everyone and everything. Now, let's examine how the yin and yang interaction creates everyone and everything on via a mathematical formula. Can we understand scientifically and mathematically how physical reality, our universe, is created from the emptiness? Interesting, isn't it? Well, the next subject and the next title is the law of Tao yin and yang creation and quantum entanglement. The law of yin and yang creation tells us that everyone and everything consists of yin and yang, and that yin and yang pair is one piece of information with two possible states, yin and yang. These two possible states contained in one yin and yang pair are these two possibilities contained in one yin and yang pair are connected. They are opposite, relative, co-created, inseparable, and codependent. The creation and transformation of one of them will instantly affect the other, independent of space and time. Therefore, the law of the yin and yang creation implies the existence of quantum entanglement phenomena. Another title is How is the Universe Created? Quantum physics tells us that our physical reality is manifested by our own observation. Observation is called measurement in quantum physics. A detector is an instrument that receives a vibration and records the changes after it observes the vibrations. The detectors we use and the where and how we position these detectors determines the quantum phenomenon we observe. Our primary detectors are our soul, heart, and mind. Our soul, heart, and mind determine the physical reality we manifest. How is our universe manifested from Tao? To answer this question, we need first to understand two important concepts: space and time. As you will learn, the manifestation of our universe closely related to the mystery of space and time. Another title is What are space and time? Space and time are two mysteries that have been explored by all people in all cultures, traditions, ideology, philosophy, many layers of minutes, a century understanding about the space and time emerge as a central issue in advancing science. There were two opposing theory about the space and time. One believed that space and time do not exist. They are no more than the collection of an idealized abstraction from the relations between objects and events. The other theory believed that the space and time are absolute in the sense that they exist permanently and independently of the existence of matter. Newtonian mechanics accepted the existence of absolute space and time as fundamental axiom. In the 18th century, the German philosopher Immanuel Kant developed a theory of knowledge. Kant came to realization that space and time are not objective feature of the world. Rather, space and time are a framework used by us to organize our experiences. In the 20th century, Einstein found that space and time are relative, connected with each other. Space and time became two different aspects of one identity, space-time. Space-time. With the introduction of gravitational field in this theory of general relativity, Einstein found that the space-time depend on a matter, contradicting Newton's concept of absolute space-time. Quantum physics challenged both Newton's and Einstein's concept about space and time. In the most dramatic way, quantum phenomena bluntly defy Einstein's assumption that the transfer of information cannot exceed the speed of light. Quantum entanglement phenomena provide a way to transform information instantly. Quantum physics also dispute our normal ideas about space and time in a profound way. For instance, quantum phenomena reveals that we cannot measure time and energy simultaneously with complete accuracy. In our recent research, we discovered that there is an uncertainty relation regarding space and time. This uncertainty relation indicates that we cannot measure space and time simultaneously with complete accuracy. It takes space to measure time. It takes time to measure space. A metaphysical understanding of quantum space-time is still missing from quantum physics. In the science to create grand unification theory, the theory of everything, it is critical and essential to realize the deepest meaning and the most profound application about the space and time. In Dao science, the In the Dao science, measurement of space and time is not trivial action, is not simply assigning a number to a ruler, a clock, or an event. As we have shown in Chapter 3, the observation and the measurement process is determinant factor for what is being observed. It is, in fact, part of process that creates phenomena we perceive. Quantum physics tells us that the phenomena we observe are, in fact, manifested by our own actions. This is a revolutionary revelation. Most scientists and most physicists and the scientists have not paid enough attention to the implication of this revelation. It's partly because it's too radical for them to accept, and partly because full comprehension of this profound revelation calls for a higher level of consciousness. It took the Buddha many lifetimes of dedicated pursuit of the truth to reach the profound realization that physical reality is determined by one's actions. This insight is what led Buddha to his final enlightenment. Is the key for understanding the cause of all sufferings and finding the way to release it. As we will show, the wisdom from Tao, Buddha, and the quantum physics plays a significant role in finding the deeper meaning and the function of space and time. The next title is Dr. Ruling Shu Journey to Understand Space-Time. And this is Dr. Ruling Shu, that co-author with Dr. Master Zhigang Shao. She's a quantum physicist. Dr. Shu and with Master Shao, Dr. Master Shao, they have created this book, and she scientifically proven it. So this is what she says, Dr. Ruling. Since the second year of college, I have spent many hours, days, months, and years contemplating space and time. Philosophically, I agreed with the Kant's insight that space and time are a framework that we use to organize our experience. However, this understanding was not enough to help me create the grand unification theory as I was searching for. When Master Shah and I worked on the soul, mind, body science system as a grand unification theory, I started thinking intensively again about the meaning of space and time. But I still could not obtain a satisfactory insight. At the time, I was teaching small classes at my home. One day, one of my students brought another man to my class. This man laid a book on the desk on my porch. It was a book about the Mayan calendar. He told me he thought this book would be useful for my research. Speaking further, I learned he's a composer. He had a great ability to receive extraordinary music and play it on the piano, even though he had never learned how to read music. It felt strange that this man, whom I never met before, knew about my research. I had told hardly anyone, including my students, about my research. Besides, even with all the popular attention given to the end of the world prophecy linked to the Mayans calendar, I never before had any interest in learning about the Mayans calendar. I could not imagine how the book would have been useful to me. I left the book on the desk without reading it. A couple of days later, I got it to ponder two mathematical formula from string theory about space and time. In the string theory, there are two types of space and time: the world sheet and the observed uh, the world sheet and the observed space and time. The worksheet has two dimensions. One dimension is a space. The other dimension is time. The two-dimensional worksheet is created by the movement of one-dimensional string in time. The observed space and time is a projection from the worksheet. It can be of higher dimensions, such as 10, 11, or 26 dimensions. The observed the space and time is a function of time and space on the worksheet. The formula I was looking at showed me that the observed time and space and time is made of all kinds of cycles. Intrigued, uh, I walked around my home contemplating the meaning of the formulas. I opened the book about the Mayans calendar lying on a table. To my astonishment, and the page I opened gave me a specific explanation about the two formulas that I was trying to figure out. The ancient Mayans, space and time are uh, uh, intrinsically cycle. The Mayan had profound understanding and deep experience about the cyclic nature of space and time. More important, they had a deep intuitive understanding about the two essential elements uh, and driving forces that create our universe. Kanabuku, Kazuna, Sum, Kana, these two. Kanabuku is usually translated as one giver of movement and a measure. Uh, Kujan Sum literally means the road to the sky leading to the umbilical cord of universe. But I was still puzzled by how these two elements, space and time, created create our universe. I also had a hard time understanding how space and time could be cyclic and what they really meant. I became infatuated with the mystery of Mayans wisdom. I studied several more books related to the Mayans calendar and Mayans civilization. They helped me a little, but not enough to fully comprehend the deep knowledge and the understanding uh, ancient Mayan had about space and time. One day, I was driving to meet a good friend in a spiritual form. Their love and the compassion filled my heart. It brought tears to my eyes. They told me that they had been helping me with my research. They invited me to visit their pyramid in Mexico. My heart was full of gratitude. When I saw my friend a short while later, she gave me a CD. She told me that while she was waiting for me at the bookstore, she received a CD. Uh, she received a message to buy a CD of music for me. The title of the CD was Mexico. I immediately made my travel plan. In 4 days, I was traveling. Uh, I was traveling through. I was traveling through Mexico by bus. I visited 11 pyramids in 10 days, immersing myself in feeling, experiencing, communicating with, and receiving from ancient Mayan saints at these pyramids. The power and the wisdom I experienced and learned from them was truly incredible. At each pyramid, ancient Maya gave me a special experience and downloaded their amazing wisdom about space and time to me. They showed me how to travel through a space and time portals and how to transcend space and time to become immortal. What these ancient Mayans shared with me was amazing and immensely nourishing. It would take another book to relate to what they shared with me. I'm so grateful for the love, support, and contribution of ancient Mayans to the science and humanity. When I was home preparing for this trip, I received the idea to sleep on the pyramids. So I traveled light with only few clothes and a sleeping bag. I did buy a nice hammock when I arrived in Cancun. Most of pyramid I visited were quiet, tourist oriented. I needed to pay an entrance fee. It was not allowed to touch pyramid, much less walk or sleep on it. However, there was one pyramid different from all others. Is the largest pyramid I visited. It did not require an entrance fee. Most important, I could walk on this pyramid. As soon as I got there, I realized this was the place the ancient Mayans had formally prepared for my visit. It was interesting that I actually came to this place by accident. After missing my bus to another destination, a local person told me about this place. Although it was not spoken explicitly, I got the feeling that everyone in the park expected my visit. They welcomed me warmly with a great hospitality. It really touched my heart. I had lunch and dinner in the courtyard of a beautiful home near the pyramid. The park was also nicely prepared for me, with only a couple of other people around in the afternoon. In the afternoon, a young man arrived and volunteered to show me around. He shared interesting information about the pyramid and the ancient Mayans. The pyramid is spectacular. It has 260 steps and 13 temple runs. Each run represents 1 month of the Mayans calendar, each which has 13 months in a year and 20 days in a month. I walked up each step and visited each temple ruin, surveying the most beautiful scenery from the pyramid, feeling, smelling, tasting, sensing what each day, each month, and each year meant for the ancient Mayan. Time became still and then went backward. I immersed among and became one with the ancient Mayan. In the evening, I walked around the entrance of the park to decide whether to set up my hammock on the pyramid. A woman, a woman came over to me. She seemed to know what I was thinking. She said there was a campground on the hill and in the back, and I could camp there. I took it as a sign that it was okay for me to put my hammock on the pyramid. I ended up sleeping on the pyramid that night, lying comfortably on my hammock, tucked in my warm sleeping bag with my headlamp on. I wrote in my notebook the profound insight and formula about the space and time the ancient Mayan helped me understand. What I learned from the ancient Mayan turned out to be exactly what Master Shah has been teaching us, which I did not realize enough to to uh, apply it to understanding space and time. The ancient Maya helped me experience and realize that the space and time we observe are also made of Shen Qi Jing, which is matter, energy, mind, heart, and soul. Like everyone and everything else, Jing, Qi, Jing is a matter, Qi is the energy, Shen includes soul, heart, mind. Soul is the information, heart is the receiver of the information, mind is the processor of the information. Information is possibilities. Matter is physical manifestation. Energy is the ability to do the work. The Shenqi Jing of space and time are carried by vibrational field. The vibrational field consists of various uh, vibrations with a multitude of frequency and a wavelength. These various vibrations are different cycles of space and time. This cyclic nature of space and time is the reincarnation behavior of space and time. Resonance is the way the heart receives information. Different space and different times carry their own different information, energy, and matter. They are also part of larger cycle of space and time. Synchronicity of events in a space and time is due to a profound soul connection. I'm grateful to the ancient Mayans and the other spiritual masters and the beings who have helped me reach a deeper understanding of space and time. The ancient Mayan also helped me understand that the space and time are the yin and yang pair that is involved in creating the universe we observe. The specific formula to account for this process, in parentheses explaining, and its connection to a string theory, parentheses closed, came to me during one of Master Shah's workshops. Master Shah's workshop always filled with the intense positive information and energy. Many breakthroughs and aha moments have come to me during his workshops. With Master Sha's blessing and the help of ancient Mayan saints and the Tao Science Committee, I realized that two yin-yang pairs are involved in creating the universe we observe. With this understanding, this is quite easy to write down the formula expressing our universe. I was so astonished at the simplicity, beauty, and the power of this formula. It demonstrates so beautifully the profound wisdom and the power of Tao normal creation and the Buddha's realization. As with everything else, our universe is manifested from Tao through yin and yang interaction. We find that our universe is manifested through yin and yang interaction of space and time. To achieve complete comprehension of quantum physics and to create the grand unification theory, in the quotation, the theory of everything, unquote, is critical and essential to realize the deepest meaning and the most profound significance of space and time. In Tao science, we found that in their deepest meaning, space and time are fundamental yin and yang pair that manifests our universe. I would stop here because we have only 4 minutes left at the page 216. And she would explain, and Dr. Ruling, the quantum physicist that who wrote this book, along with Dr. Master Shah, is explaining more about the space and time. I would read it next week, next Monday, same time, same place, 7 to 8 o'clock, Monday night. Okay? And also, I want to remind you, everyone, my good friends, that tomorrow I have Power of Positive Information class, which I would write down on the board from 7 to 8:30. Please join me if you can, or and also make a comment for this one too. Share this video and make a comment. It would be great because the more people would know about these things, their consciousness would be uplifted. They come out of these limitation boxes. They think unlimited. The infinite possibilities is around. Is here. Is we are seeing it, but we cannot comprehend it. And please share these videos, these teachings, not only mine, but also other, about what we are teaching to uplift the consciousness of humanity, and also bringing in the positive information to humanity. for transformation of their physical, mental, emotional, spiritual bodies, as well as relationship, finances, and you name it. So we have the power if we open ourselves, if we open our heart and soul to receive it. And also, I want to invite you to Friday night singing the Love, Peace, Harmony with me, 7 to 7:30. The same way. I have it on the YouTube and the Facebook. Please, whenever I post something, my friends, please share it with the others. Okay? Thank you. Love you, love you, love you. It was my great honor, and I have, the harmonious relationship.net that is connected, but I'm offering these services free of charges. And please join me. Thank you. Bye. You have a nice evening, day, or wherever you are in the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you, love you, love you. Bye bye. Good night.